Okay, so I'm here to review Arkham Asylum, a serious house on Serious Earth, written by Grant Morrison and drawn by Dave McKean. I believe that's how you say his name. Um, yes, I figured this would be an appropriate book for my second comic book review. I have my 15th anniversary edition right here, paperback. Um, there's been a 25th anniversary edition, and there's also been a complete edition, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't think there's been an absolute yet, and I'm yet to see a hardcover for it. But the second they come out with a hardcover absolute, I'll definitely get that. Yes, but this is one of my favorite books of all time. This is the book that made me discover Grant Morrison. Before I had no idea who he was. And I read this book initially because of the Arkham Asylum video game. As we all know, Rocksteady based their video game off this book. And so I had to go back and actually read what inspired the video game. And yes, when you read this book, there's a lot of things taken from this book that are actually in the Arkham Asylum video game. The main piece being Amadeus Arkham. Now, this Batman Arkham Asylum book is a little bit, somewhat, of an origin for the Arkham Asylum mental institution that's in Gotham, right? And you see a lot of backstory with Amadeus Arkham, the man who opened the asylum, and you see what drove him crazy, and the stories of, Mad Dog Hawkins that killed his family and stuff like that, and how the asylum itself, the manor that Amadeus Arkham grew up in, has drove him insane and stuff like that. And the book is pretty trippy, I guess is a good word to describe it. It does a lot of, absurdist art, abstract art, I guess would be a better word, abstract. A lot of, it looks like oil paintings, and they almost use realistic imagery. But in a very, abstract way. Like, there's a panel in this book that shows Bates from Psycho, right? And it looks like it's pulled right from the movie and stuff. Like, they took a frame from the movie and he just, oil painted over it. And there's a lot of stuff like that in the book. It's a very beautiful book. If you're into unique art and, stuff like that, some weird stuff that might give you nightmares, this is the book for you. Now, the book has two stories going on. One with Amadeus Arkham, and the other is Batman going to Arkham Asylum because Joker and the other villains have broken out of their pens, and the inmates are running the asylum. The inmates are running the Arkham Asylum. And Batman has to go in there and put order back together again. But Batman is also dealing with an internal conflict in this. He feels that he might lose himself in the asylum because Batman doesn't feel that he's that much different than the inmates in Arkham. And that's the point of the book. Joker points out several times that, there really isn't much of a difference between the inmates in Arkham and Batman himself. Joker keeps trying to say that Arkham is a mirror to Batman, and a lot of Alice in Wonderland's allusions are in this book. They use quotes from the Alice in Wonderland book, and there's even a point in this book with Mad Hatter, and he mentions Batman looking through the looking glass and just seeing the reflection of himself, right? And that's got to be one of my favorite panels of the book. That's got to be one of my favorite moments of the book, because Batman's questioning his own sanity this whole time, and that's it sort of leads into why the art is the way it is. You're supposed to, put unease. You're supposed to feel unease, going through it. And the way Batman's drawn, he's drawn as a very dark, scary figure that you don't really get a good shot of, really. I like the way Batman is shown. You actually see more of Joker, really. You see just the wild way they draw Joker, and that might be one of the main I want to say complaint or nitpick I have about the book is Joker's dialogue bubbles they aren't really dialogue bubbles. It's just red ink with like this little white, outline, and it's almost tough to see the words. So I had to like stare at it for like a minute before I actually saw the words, and maybe that's the point. Maybe they want you to look at it intensely and question your own sanity as you're reading Joker's dialogue. But yeah, I mean, this whole book is asking the question: is Batman any different than the villains he fights? And even Batman questions it himself. Is Batman causing all this to happen? Who's really crazy? Are the inmates crazy, or is the rest of the world crazy? And that's one of the closing moments of the book, is that Batman leaves the asylum, and Joker says something to the extent as, now he's going into the real asylum, which is like, the rest of Gotham City and the society they live in, right? Because we live in a society. But yeah. Some of my favorite moments of the book is definitely Two-Face. Two-Face, one of my favorite moments, because the doctors are trying to heal Two-Face. They're trying to wean him off his addiction of the coin by giving him a dice, and then they give him playing cards, and it's just making Two-Face worse. It's making him unable to make any kind of decision at all, and it's driving him even madder, which I liked a lot. And then the actual last moments of the book, Batman gives Two-Face his coin back and asks Two-Face to make the decision on whether or not Batman lives or dies, or people are allowed to leave the asylum or not. And Two-Face flips the coin and says, "You're free to go, Batman." And then the very last panel you see Two-Face looking at his coin, and it was scarred. So Two-Face actually made a choice on his own. He flipped the coin, it came up scarred, and he still let Batman live. So maybe Batman is helping these criminals and inmates regain their sanity a little bit. Now, maybe that's the point, but yeah, very good book. Lots of good moments. You see a bunch of Batman villains. You see Maxie Zeus at one point. You see Mad Hatter. You see Killer Croc. And they are drawn awesome. Scarecrow. I mean, bunch of cool designs for the characters. And really off-putting when you see characters like, Joker and Killer Croc. I mean, I think Killer Croc's like the gnarliest looking one. Mad Hat looks more traditional, honestly. And Two-Face is definitely a unique design. But this is the interesting thing about this book. Grant Morrison is very detail-oriented when he comes to his writing. There's actually, in this book, after you read through the book, you get the behind-the-scenes, and you actually get to read the script part. This is what Grant Morrison wrote, the entire script for this book, this graphic novel. And there's a funny quote right here. And it says, this is from Grant Morrison. He says, "I found out later that the script had been passed around a group of comic professionals who allegedly shit themselves laughing at my high Fulton Pop Psych panel descriptions. Who's laughing now? Assholes." That's what Grant Morrison said. Who's laughing now, assholes? Because all the imagery you see in the book is Grant Morrison's descriptions. Like, you read his script in the back of the book, and he's literally describing all the imagery that you see in the book. It's very impressive. It's very impressive. Most writers don't really do that. They give like a very small description of what they want the artist to do, and then the artist goes and does it. But with Grant Morrison, not only does he write all the dialogue, but he's telling the artist exactly what he wants to see in the panels, which is, unheard of, really. I mean, most artists don't do that. I mean, most writers don't really do that for comic books. But Grant Morrison's very precise. He knows exactly what he wants, and it is a perfect Batman story. One of those perfect graphic novels, and definitely pushes the art form forward, right? Pushes the graphic novel art form in new ways, and yeah, I can't recommend it any more than that. if you haven't read it yet, I don't know what you're doing. It's been out for almost 30 years. I get it has a 25th anniversary edition. Go ahead and pick that up, paperback. Um, yes, one of the best Batman books of all time, and it asks a lot of important questions about Batman. You know, like, is he really helping anything? You know, or should he also be locked into the asylum? And there's another good moment in the book where Batman's like, "No, I am better." He's like, "You know what? I am better than you guys. I'm not gonna succumb to you trying to drive me crazy. I am better than this." And you actually get little flashbacks to his the Wayne murders, right? But like it's like Batman's remembering it wrong. It's like they're coming out of the theater and it says Bambi, and his parents are like, "Why did you bring us out of that theater, you little crybaby?" and stuff like that. It's just stuff Batman is imagining. It didn't really happen. And then they also show that they're coming out of Zorro, so it's like it's all messed up in Batman's head, and it's pretty unique take on the Batman psyche, right? I highly recommend it. If you've read this book, comment below. Let me know what your thoughts on it. And get a good little discussion going, because there's not really too much to say beyond, I like the book a lot, and it brings up a lot of questions about Batman's, psyche and morality and stuff, and who's really the crazy people here. That's all the fun stuff about Batman, right? That's why I like reading about his character and stuff, because he's not just a clear-cut hero. He's not just, Superman that's perfect all the time. And Joker's really trying to, push Batman over the edge in this book. And, it's funny because Joker in this book actually makes a joke. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's always good. I always like those Batman books where Joker actually makes jokes. It makes light of, like, horrific things. That's always, like, the best Joker stuff. But, yeah. Go ahead. Comment below. Let me know what your thoughts on this. Obviously, the actual art of the book is legendary. But the story is also legendary. It's not the first book to ever question, Batman's morality or anything like that, but it is the first to really show that Batman may not be as different than the criminals he fights. He might be one and the same. And if you like Alice in Wonderland, this book has tons of Alice in Wonderland allusions, and it's just, solid book all around. I love it. I love the book. Anyway, that's it for now. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.